Hi, this is Elizabeth Veely from the Powerful Women Off the Record podcast. I've been reflecting on my time with Kathy Markousis. Kathy's the founder of the Yoga Universe. It's a yoga studio that she founded decades ago, well before yoga was as popular and accepted as it is now. I mean, she was truly a first adopter. And, when I think about being an entrepreneur, first off, being an entrepreneur is hard. Then being a female entrepreneur, I think, is a little bit harder. And then being a female entrepreneur and an early adopter. I mean, it kind of just goes to show you her strength and her courage and her conviction in what she did. And she talks in the interview about the reason she did that, the reason she found the courage to go and open a yoga studio, again, during a time when it was not as popular or understood. In fact, it was quite misunderstood decades ago. A lot of people thought it was tied to religion and really resisted it. But not Kathy. She was following her breadcrumbs, and it really helped her go through some tough times in her life, and she wanted to share that with people. And I think that's probably one of the things that kept pulling her through the tough times. And, I guess just starting there, if you haven't tried different forms of yoga, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. There's many different types of yoga. There's so many different types that it would be impossible not to find one that works for you. And, speaking for myself, when I found yoga, it really did change a lot for me. So I found yoga, I don't know, again, we're probably going 25, 30 years ago. Can't believe I'm saying that. But it was a long time ago, and I was in a very intense career. I was climbing the ladder in one of the top international CPA firms of the globe, and working my way to a partnership. And because of it, I had clients in 2 major cities, so I was on the road all the time, flying in and out, jet setting, and really intense. And at that time, I was also living in Boston, Massachusetts, and I belonged to a very nice high-end gym, and I was using the typical workouts to burn off my stress. The treadmill, the weights, you name it, all those classes. And then, and it's funny, I'm going to give her kudos because way back when a movie came out called Tomb Raider, and Angelina Jolie was in it, and she was in just phenomenal shape. And I remember reading an article, and she said it was because of yoga. And that was the first time I ever thought of yoga not in a spiritual context, I guess. So I had written it off. And so, of course, in my gym, lucky for me, they did offer some yoga classes, and I tried a few different types, and I ended up falling in love with one that is called Kundalini yoga, and of course, Hatha yoga. And it has pulled me through a lot of difficult times. So I guess, there's my little commercial on yoga, and, please don't give up on it. I say this all the time to people. Try one. If it's not for you, try a different kind. And then once you get it, you'll be doing it at home and with all the videos online, really. But I think it's game changing. And, the goal of yoga, there is a spiritual base to it, but how I looked at it back then, when I was not quite going down that path at the time, was it was created to perfect the body, so that in the beginning, so that you could sit in meditation for a very long time. And whether or not you're into meditation doesn't really matter. Just, hear the part about perfect the body. And that was the part I was hearing decades ago, and that's how I found my way to yoga. So hopefully this is your nudge to go check that out. But Kathy, this studio that Kathy started was a very intense yoga. It was called Ashtanga Yoga. And I don't know how many studios are continuing to do it, because it was really an intense physical yoga, so much so I only made it through a few of her classes. I was so in awe of her. I thought I was in good shape, and then that happened. But so she was a pioneer. She was creating a community, and she found something that worked for her, and she wanted to share it with other people. And I think that's so beautiful, and that's so her. And then she made it happen, and she's still in touch with the people, that the community that she built there. So I think that's beautiful. But she spent a lot of time talking about, as women, things are going to ebb and flow with your body, with your life, with your time, and to allow it to, and allow yourself to make those changes where maybe, running those 5 miles, it's not the time for that right now. Maybe it's more of a yoga situation or a Pilates or whatever, but it's always coming back to honoring our body and not being rigid, and just listening, right? Just listening and moving forward with where the body's taking you. So I think she's really wise in that. She's always trying new things, following her breadcrumbs, and definitely a good role model for all of us. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was funny when she said a lot of the things she found was not necessarily in a social media post, but it was in the comments of a social media post. And I've had a lot of luck there too, especially when I'm in a space in my life where I am throwing something out to the universe, like I'm looking for something. I'm looking for an answer to XYZ, whatever it might be. And I found them in the comments too. So it was really cool to hear I wasn't the only one. I don't know if you've done the same thing, but I have found really life-changing things that somebody mentioned in the comments, and then just, chase those down. So keep an eye on that. So Kathy used a word that has stuck with me. And, she said, she was talking about having confidence in yourself and just knowing yourself and being kind to yourself and having that self-respect, that no matter what anyone around you does or what the environment is, it doesn't dent you. And that's the word that's sticking with me. It doesn't dent you. And that is so her, because, and you probably picked up on it on the interview. And again, for those of you that know Kathy, like it's actually not even in her realm that somebody could break her or bend her. The best somebody could do would be to dent her. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I am trying to pull that word into my reality also, where nobody has the access to be able to break or bend. The best that they could have done was dent, and even that isn't happening. So that one is sticking with me, and she just says it so matter of fact, because that's just who she is. Like, that's just so authentic. So the other thing that sticks with me with Kathy is juggling all this as a mom, single mom. She lost her husband and she had to find a way forward. And she talks about how the kids were really incorporated into her life, maybe more than if she hadn't been a single mom. And I think that's just what happens. And I think that's beautiful for everyone. I think the kids then get experiences they probably never would have before. And kudos to all the organizations that make it work for parents. She talked about the Omega Institute, which is a phenomenal institute in New York State, and they offer kids programs. And then if you go mainstream, a lot of the if you go on like cruises for vacation, they offer things for kids. And I want to give a shout out to the YMCA. I think here locally, the YMCA really built a beautiful facility. It was one of the nicest workout facilities I've ever seen, and they built out a really significant kind of kids area with like a, climbing wall and people that, would watch the kids. And I know that really, saved me in a lot of ways, being able to go work out and know the kids were having just as much fun as I was having. So big shout out to the YMCA and all the organizations that do that. I know there's many of them, but I just want to make sure that, people know how impactful that is and how good for the kids to see you taking care of yourself and seeing you make a point of it. And again, the role model, right? Making sure that your kids see you do what it takes to stay strong and sovereign and provide for them. So again, the self-care is really not optional. And Kathy's done a really good job of building like kind of a variety of communities around herself, different friend groups. And I do think that's priceless for women. We talk about this a lot. Like, we have to find our communities. And if you haven't found yours yet, don't give up. Keep looking. They're so important to us. And they fill us in a way that, like, our family maybe can't, or our significant other can't. Having that group of girlfriends where everyone's authentic and authentically rooting for you, and if you're not in that group, then get out. Like, get out of that group. Like, you don't need to stay in a group like that. In fact, I think it's critical if you don't. And I do think sometimes there's a pause, like when you start phasing out the people in your life that maybe aren't the best for you, or for whatever reason there's negativity, or you just don't feel good after you leave. I know it's hard to break away from those relationships and friendships, but it'll be very hard to go to the next level if you're in that situation. So it's really important that you face that and you're honest with yourself and you start distancing yourself. And I do think often there's a slight gap between when you do phase yourself out from the old group and you're looking for your new group, or you're trying to attract your new group. There's a phase during that things are quiet and they might be a little lonely. I think it's worth it though. It's a part of a personal journey to get through that quiet phase. I think making your statement that you're waiting for something healthier in your life. So I think Kathy's really good at that. She's really modeling that for all of us. So this is a little tangent. She talked about how she needs to go into a cave sometimes, and I don't know if everyone knows what that reference is from. That reference is from a book a long time ago called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I haven't read it in a long time, so I can't promise it's held up to today's standards, but I did read it back in the day. And yes, there was some stuff that I think some people didn't totally appreciate, but I have to say there are some things that stuck with me, and the cave was one of them. And the author uses this analogy, and he uses it. I mean, the main theme of the book is that men and women are wired differently. And the faster we can figure that out, the better for everybody, and we can get along more, and everybody can stay in their strengths. And then he goes into his different things, and he uses this analogy of a cave where, in his book, like that, a lot of men need caves, which means like whatever, overstimulated, things are going on, and they need to pull away and like kind of go in their cave. And it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It doesn't mean that anyone did anything, but the people that are outside the cave could misunderstand that, right? They could be like, oh, what happened? What did I do? And start questioning and asking and, nudging that person. And the point of his book was to say that if we just communicate, you know what, I think I'm just going to go in my cave for a little bit. And if everyone that's around you understands that and lets you, then honestly, you'll probably come out of the cave faster because you don't have anyone like kind of nagging at you. So this works for men and women. The book talked about it as it was a male thing, but I think it can work for anyone. And that cave thing, though, I'll tell you, I've used it a lot in relationships, both me saying I had to go in a cave or explaining this to my significant other and us agreeing to saying, I'm just going to go in my cave. And that means nothing's wrong. And you just give everyone space. So there's a little nugget for you. I may pull that book again. I don't have it anymore. I'd have to go buy it, and see if it's held up to the standards of time. But The Cave, I highly recommend it. So if you're in a relationship, highly recommend, The Cave. And I guess since we're on that theme, the other thing that works really well, I think, in relationships is when something's coming up that's really important to you, that both, and you're sharing it with a significant other or a boss or a manager or a coworker, and it's like scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you? And both people say what that scale is. And you'd be amazed how often, it could seem like it's something so minor to you, but it's like a 9 or 10 for someone else. And then you're like, okay, listen, it's more important for you. Let's do it, kind of thing. So that's another powerful tool on my meandering here. So, Kathy talks a lot about staying strong in who you are. She definitely had the benefit of ancestors, a long lineage of strong women. And I wasn't joking when I said, a lot of times when I meet people that are so well grounded, they don't even completely grasp how grounded they are, right? Because it's just who they are. So they may not be doing anything special. It's just who they are. And that's the piece of the puzzle that I'm going to keep chipping away at, because not everyone is like that. And I think there's some tools that can override if you didn't have that strong female lineage to rely on. I believe there's tools to help everybody get that grounded feeling, get that self-esteem that no matter what anyone says to you, it's not going to dent you. I hope that word sticks with you too. And that you just keep coming back to yourself, right? That you just love yourself and your quirks and the weird little things that you do. And then if those around you are not appreciating it, then those are the wrong people that are around you. That's where we got to get, right? And again, I'm not going to say it's easy. And I think there's a lot of times we have to face things we don't really want to face. But I think it's a really good goal. And I think it's really important to try to catch ourselves faster when we do start losing ourselves or something around us is chipping away at us. Because I think that's often how it happens. It's the people that are just outwardly negative or outwardly saying negative things that may chip away at you. They're pretty obvious, right? You can figure that out. It's the more subtle ones that go on for a long period of time, and we're humans, so we adapt and we adjust and we just keep kind of going along with it. Or, hopefully we're not thinking, oh, it's something I did, but there could be some of that too. And, this works in personal life, as well as in our professional life, where, managing our nervous system and managing how we pick up on these signs when somebody is chipping away at us, and we get ahead of it before it goes on for too long, and before we accept it, and before we get used to it. Don't get used to it. And I don't know about you, but I normally get a physical feeling in the beginning. And I know I talked about this with a few of the ladies, but I normally get a physical feeling when somebody is, trying to chip away at me. And in the past, I probably either dismissed it or, just thought that maybe I was overreacting or something. But I don't dismiss it anymore. I pay attention to it. Now, yes, I'm blessed. I am further along in my career. So some of this kind of builds as you go. But gosh, if you can learn to do that earlier and then start distancing yourself from the people that are chipping away at you, There's a power in that, and that's you choosing you. And you got to choose you, right? You have to choose you all the time. It's not selfish. It's not being like full of yourself. You have to choose you first so that you can show up fully for everybody else. So I feel like I could, keep going on, with about Kathy and the things that she has just kind of stirred up in me. And her female friendships, I think, are really powerful and strong. And like when she said she enjoys waitressing, that didn't surprise me at all. She, Kathy is enjoys people, likes people, and enjoys, trying to make your day a little bit better. And she's so beautiful like that. And she's finding her ways on how to do that, right? To help people avoid the paths maybe that, didn't work for her, and also show them a new way, all the way going to, opening her own yoga studio, like way back when. So kudos to her. And listen, it's not easy. I went down that path too. When my first entrepreneurial move was opening a holistic health center way back when, 26 years ago. And that's actually how I bumped into Kathy, because I was doing that and she was starting the yoga studio. And that was my first move as a female entrepreneur. And I learned a lot, a ton, throughout that process about myself. And if you are going down the entrepreneur path, not everything is going to work out. That business did not work out for me. I was trying to structure it in a way that it was kind of ahead of its time, and I didn't listen. I didn't adjust. Like Kathy adjusted faster. Like when she said other people maybe didn't like the Ashtanga yoga, it's too intense. So she had to kind of bring in other things that the public would like. I was a little rigid in that area, and I didn't. And so that was one of my lessons. And if you ever wanted to talk to me about my lessons of my first entrepreneurial move, feel free to reach out. I will love to share all that. And I don't regret it. I met amazing people. I learned so much about myself through that process. And then I learned how to not give up, right? Because the first one didn't work. And that's not uncommon, right? And the term fail forward is a real deal. And just to be proud of yourself that you made that move and you tried that. And it's a numbers game, right? You have to keep trying. You got to keep getting back up, and then one of them will work. So I want to thank Kathy again for spending that time with me. She gave me a lot to think about. She gave me a word that I'm going to be just completely incorporating into how I think about things, with not being dented. And every other word is not even on the table. So, thank you for that. And I hope you enjoyed listening to mine and Kathy's conversation. She's really an amazing woman. If you've ever met her in person, you would, I know you would agree. And I think there's still amazing things ahead of her. So I am really looking forward to seeing what her next adventure is. So once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my reflections. Thank you for supporting the Powerful Women Off the Record podcast. I hope you are enjoying spending time with these women as much as I am. Until next time.